Hi guys, we are from Group 1 and today we want to present about whether anti-consumerism a big threat to brands. Anti-consumerism opposes the idea of excessive purchasing and consumption. In this way, it places a strong emphasis on rejection and restriction, which involve the intentional exclusion of goods from one's consumption routine and limitation of consumption. This movement believes that such consumerism brings resource depletion, environmental problems, competitive and excessive consumption, and also unfairness in terms of wealth distribution. To counter such consumerism, anti-consumption promotes ways of consumption in terms of recycling and reuse of product and purchase of second-hand items. Apparently, such concepts of anti-consumption are caused by both personal and society, influenced by social, cultural, and economic factors. This topic of the anti-consumerism movement has been chosen because it is very important that its negative effect on brands be well understood. Brand rejection or restriction can lead to loss of brand equity, brand loyalty, and profit of businesses in the long run. This presentation will analyze how the fast fashion and luxury brands react with the anti-consumerism movement. Also, some insight to tackle avoidance or restricted consumption of brand will also be discussed. Finally, recommendation of brand strategies will be proposed. Moving to fast fashion. Fast fashion has been criticized for its contribution to social and environmental problems, such as poor working conditions, toxic chemical pollution, and carbon dioxide emissions. In addition, fast fashion depends on low-wage workers in underdeveloped countries to keep costs down while obtaining both quick turnaround and on-trend clothes. The rapid disposal rate of trendy clothes has led to the emergence of anti-consumption of fast fashion. Consumers are becoming more aware of their purchase decisions and avoid products made by unethically perceived companies. In response to this trend, fast fashion retailers like H&M have been putting a lot of effort to attract the conscious consumer with sustainable strategies. Over the past few years, H&M has done a lot of work to promote itself as a sustainable company. In 2011, H&M launched the Conscious Collections, which in each of the collections, the product contained at least 50% sustainable materials, such as organic cotton, recycled polyester, and other sustainable materials. The Conscious Choice products are available in all H&M stores that come with green tags and the word Conscious written on them. In addition, H&M has also implemented a recycling program within its store, where consumers can donate their unwanted clothes and textiles from any brand. Consumers will then receive a 15% off voucher to be used for the next purchase. While these strategies seem to be a positive practice for the brand, and will help consumers in changing their perception toward the fast fashion brand to believe that conscious fashion choice is positive. However, in reality, the sustainability efforts do not seem to eliminate waste. For instance, the voucher will turn out to encourage consumers to buy more of the clothes, thus adding more waste. It is also reported that in fact, only 30% of what is collected from the program is recycled at all. In essence, the H&M featuring sustainable products is just a marketing strategy to retain conscious customers and gain endless profit. However, despite the unethical practice of fast fashion brands, this concern is not always reflected in their consumer behavior. Consumers who demand more sustainability will continue to buy items from fast fashion brands, while the concern for the environmental does not influence their purchasing decisions. Fast fashion with a greenwashing statement is still considered as a great alternative for people who are price conscious, as not everyone can afford to pay the price tag that goes along with slower and more ethical fashion.
Anti-consumerism has not only impacted the fast fashion industry but also the luxury goods industry in recent years. However, to understand the luxury goods market, we must first define the luxury brands and their brand effect on their consumers. In the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard's book, The Consumer Society, Baudrillard ties Marxian economics with semiotics, where he heavily criticized consumerism in a capitalist world. Baudrillard believes the goods consumers purchase are merely objectified symbols where an object was purchased for its symbolic meaning rather than its functional use. In essence, the branding and the logo of the luxury goods often added intangible value to the goods themselves through the lens of society. For instance, an owner of a Chanel bag was not only seeing the value of its premium leather and metal chain, but rather the symbol, meaning of wealth, status, social approval, and superiority it brings to its owner. With the rise of anti-consumerism and the growing sustainability conscious, there are more and more younger consumers who have to balance their need for luxury goods to maintain their status symbol while staying woke to the anti-consumerism movement. As such, the luxury resale market and platforms such as The Real Real, Versatile Collective, and HomeBullion.com are growing rapidly to fulfill the needs of these consumers. According to Forbes.com, resale market for luxury goods has grown 5 times faster than the first-hand market from 2017 to 2021. The forecast for reselling market will reach over $60 billion in 2025. Based on HomeBullion.com's 2020 data, over 70% of its users are aged 20 to 30. These stats indicate that the trend of the luxury goods market is no longer reserved for the richer and older demographic, but younger consumers are finding their way into owning the goods without spending a fortune. The economic impact of COVID-19 without doubt affected the luxury goods market financially and socially. As more consumers move away from purchasing first-hand luxury goods, brands will need to reposition themselves to compete with the rising resale market. The luxury market is estimated with a 20 to 35 shrinkage, challenging the luxury brands to stay competitive in a saturated market. From the above discussions, we have several insights for brand managers to consider. So, as we know, anti-consumerism impacted the fashion industry in both fashion and luxury. But the anti-consumerism movement creates a doppelganger brand image that distorts the brand image according to popular opinion. Negative backlash such as anti-consumerism can be caused by the brand's inability to keep on its brand responses with judgment or feelings. This can injure the brand's image that the brand has tried to keep and build for years. According to Thompson et al., there are 3 main steps for brand managers to survive and even use the momentum to develop. First, brand managers need to observe the brand's image in regards to the socio-cultural condition in the society. Second, they need to discover the negative imagery toward their brand so they can face the problem with audacity and compassion to avoid erroneous decisions that might aggravate the situation and atone for its mistake. Lastly, after understanding the situation, brand managers must look for alternatives to adapt as a defense mechanism, not from competitors but the doppelganger. But to adapt naturally, managers should try to anticipate the change and adapt according to the brand salience to be considered original and not just following the trend to appease the consumers. The same thing applies to a brand's progressive campaign. If it does not match, then the campaign will not be successful. H&M demonstrated this by focusing on the environmental movement where their products originated from and processed. Although there are several steps, prevention is better than facing the problem. To prevent anti-brands, managers must ensure completely positive experiences from consumers. And furthermore, building CSR programs help companies to maintain a positive image and avoid anti-brands because consumers hate companies without CSR. Lastly, brands should build consumer loyalty programs to avoid brand switching and hate. Luxury fashion brands have the loyalty and can adapt by maintaining the loyalty and offer services that differentiate first-hand purchases with second-hand products. Monitoring and adapting with society's perspective will help brand managers to protect their brands from anti-brands. So fast fashion and luxury brands can develop ways to prevent consumers' rejection and restricted consumption. For example, H&M relies on using sustainable clothing materials that are recycled and ethically sourced. Also, with regard to price-conscious consumers, a greenwashing statement should be reconsidered. Furthermore, luxurious products which represent symbolic value also cause anti-consumerism. However, alternative shopping platforms like The Real and Versatile Collective and HomeBullion can help the younger generation to balance their perceived social status and anti-consumption on luxurious products. Besides, since negative brand responses can adversely impact on brand equity, three main steps to improving brand image are worth considering. First, brand managers must be aware of brand image based on the socio-cultural conditions. Second, they need to avoid negative imagery towards the brand. Finally, the alternatives for brand defense mechanisms must be sought out with appropriate adaptation and anticipated change in accordance with brand salience. In addition, progressive campaigns that are suitable for brands should be taken into account, and anti-brand movements can be avoided by fostering positive brand experience, CSR brand activities, and consumers' brand loyalty. All in all, anti-consumerism or consumption is All in all, anti-consumerism or consumption is inextricably related to brand avoidance and switching. All in all, anti-consumerism is inextricably related to brand avoidance and switching. Therefore, complying with brand salience can positively contribute to brand loyalty and, most importantly, the overall brand equity.